It's an absolute pleasure to be here today. So I'm just going to start off before I actually start sharing my slides. I'd love to have a feel for who's here in the room and what your business is. So if you could maybe just use the chat just to let me know what your business is. And that would be great. So I'm just going to see if I can find the chat now after asking you to do that. So great. Yeah, so just let me know, because then I can adapt my talk here today to include examples that may help you specifically. Hi, Eileen, Ultra Speaker Consultants on Women in the Workplace. Thank you so much. Insurance broker, hi, David. Good to see you here. Colleen, Irish Gift Business, celebrating the Celtic alphabet. Very good, of Ahram. Very good. Architecture, entertainment. Irish dance. Excellent. My daughter does Irish dance actually here in Ireland. And then creator. These are moving fast. Producer, Distilled Spirit. Sounds great. Coach, focus on life transitions and leadership development. Hi, Mary. Hi, Maura. Hi, Tori. Economic development. Okay, fantastic. Food product company, Cocoa Fine Foods, very good. Holistic integrated. This is moving too fast. Medicine. John podcast, very good, John. And executive coach, excellent. Okay, fantastic. Noreen, I work in marketing. CIE tours. Oh, very good. Very good. Dr. Kelly, hi, how are you? Consultants to Irish life science medical device companies. Very good. Okay. Thank you so much for answering that question. So great. So I am now going to share my screen and I'm just going to get going with this. So again, we're going to take questions at the end if that's okay. So that will keep it flowing nicely. So today I'm talking to you about leveraging social media and AI strategies for coaches and consultants. So my name is Louise McDonnell. I'm coming to you live from the west of Ireland here. So I'm just based, for any of you who know Ireland quite well, I'm based in just outside Enniscrone in County Sligo. So I just think it's amazing in this world now of technology and broadband that I can operate my company here from rural Ireland to anywhere in the world, which is actually wonderful. I'd love to connect with you. This is how you find me. You find me on Facebook. .com sell on social I also have a group for coaches, consultants, and online experts. It's called it's facebook.com/groups/sell on social media. So again, we can send you a link to that later on. You'll also find me on Instagram under sell on social on TikTok under sell on social and you'll find me on LinkedIn under Louise MacD Social. So question I want to ask everyone here, like, do you actually like social media? Again, let me just have a look and see if I can find the chat. Do you like social media? Be honest, yes, no, or you hate it, or you love it, or what? Do you like social media? So love, hate, sometimes. Yes. Yes, to look at, but not to do it for business. Okay. Informative posts, Tori saying, necessarily. Very good, Dr. Kelly. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. I tolerate it. I love that question, but I've abandoned Twitter entirely. Yes, I hear you. Okay, so kind of a lot of a mixed bag there. So the reason I don't like the algorithms, Catherine is saying, the reason I asked the question is that some people think that when I say that I work in social media, that I want to turn them into influencers. And that is actually the opposite of what I am about. So when it comes to social media, my goal is to help businesses to understand how to use it strategically to get the best possible results in the least amount of time. Okay, so what we don't want to do is spend lots and lots of time on social media and not getting results. So again, my goal is to assist you to spend as little time as possible getting the best possible results. I do not want to turn people into influencers who are sharing what they're having for their breakfast, dinner, and tea. That's not what I'm all. They're content creators. They're slightly different to what I help businesses achieve. Lots of businesses come to me and they tell me when it comes to using social media. Sorry, now this mouse goes a bit crazy. Turn it on its side. That they feel overwhelmed when it comes to using social media that they don't know where to start, that sometimes they feel like they're shooting in the dark, and that these are words that people say to me the whole time, that they're going round in circles and they feel like they've a stop-start approach to social media, and then they end up having a kind of a scattergun approach. So if any of this sounds familiar or sounds like it could be you, again, just let me know in the chat if this is something which resonates with you. Just put a Y in if you feel any of that resonates with you at all. Because if it does, that's okay, because that's completely normal. So anybody feeling it, that like yes to all of the above Colleen is saying. Yeah, so lots of people saying that, yes, they feel a little, they understand where I'm coming from when I say this. So just bear with me now 2 seconds. So what we're going to cover today is why selling services are different. So lots of people here are selling services, which is quite different to selling products. I know there's 1 or 2 people selling products. I got that from the chat at the beginning. So I will include some examples for people selling products. But we're going to cover today why selling services is different, 5 lessons that I have learned from running campaigns in our agency, which will help you, 3 success stories that I want to share with you, which I think will help inspire you. And then I want to share with you the 6 steps you've got to follow to grow sales and leads. So the 3 success stories that I want to share with you today follow the 6 steps. So this is a proven system, which I'm going to share with you here today. So for those of you who don't know me, as I said, I'm based in the west of Ireland. I worked in the early digital space since the 1990s. I'd love to tell you it was a strategic move when I moved into digital marketing back then, but it wasn't at all. It was just by chance. I really wanted to work in marketing, having qualified in college in service marketing. And I applied for a job in a company called EDI Factory. And I got the job, and I walked in on the first day expecting that EDI was this product that they would be making, on an assembly line, and that I would be the marketer that would help them, sell it all over the world. And in fact, EDI stands for Electronic Data Interchange. So I can tell you, I was distraught because I had no idea what EDI was. I found I was a young female. I was the only female in the company. It was a large male workforce, and they were all techies. And I remember, but the joke at the time was, do you remember poor Chandler Bing and Friends? The joke at the time was, how nobody knew what Chandler did? I was Chandler, and people used to say, did you figure it out yet, Louise? Did you figure it out? And I did eventually. And what I found was, I was in the company like months when I really didn't understand what they were doing because it was quite technical. Like in the 1990s, when I took this job, there was no such thing as shopping online. There was no such thing as e-commerce and e-business. This was before that. And what I found was that I actually had a really good aptitude for understanding all the technical aspects of the job, of EDI, of what I was selling. And what I also found was that the customers couldn't understand any of the brochures or business cards or website pages that were written by the techies because they were speaking a different language. And I suppose that's what I do to this day, is I bridge the gap between the technical speak and what people need to understand in plain language so they can quickly implement it. And so I worked in that company for nearly a decade. By the time that I left that company, I used to write articles in industry magazines. I used to go and give talks to groups around the country about what the internet was and how you could use it for business. So it was an absolutely wonderful foundation in terms of my career. I moved home to the west of Ireland in the year 2000, and I moved industries. Then I worked for 7 years as CEO of our local Ballina Chamber of Commerce. And then in 2009, I was actually made redundant at the height of the recession in Ireland on my birthday. So I was invited into the boardroom on my birthday, and it was about 10 in the morning. And I remember thinking, it's a little early for cake. So it was too. It wasn't cake that I was being offered, but it was being the door that I was offered. So I remember the feeling. I don't know if anyone here has ever been made redundant, but it's a horrible, horrible feeling. And even though it's not your fault, and even though I had worked tirelessly for the last year that I had worked in that business, I'd worked so hard because I had no money to spend on advertising. I had no money to spend on PR. I did it all myself. And that's when I went back to the skills that I had learned in the early 90s when when I learned how to do search engine optimization, Google Analytics, Google Ads, email marketing, and I started using social media. So when I found myself out on the street on my birthday, it wasn't long before a fire was lit in my belly, and I set up my own business, and I haven't looked back since. One of the first contracts I picked up with was actually Fall to Ireland. So I see somebody's here from CIE Tours. I was a marketing, I was a mentor on their e-marketing panel. And I remember at the time when I was starting my business, they were looking for 3 examples of businesses that you'd worked with in the tourism sector. And I only had 3. But anyhow, I was very fortunate. I was a marketer with digital marketing experience. And that was very unusual back then, back in 2009, because normally at that time, the people who had all the digital marketing skills were IT people, but the IT people didn't understand business. So I have been able to bridge that gap. So I founded my own company back then. My company is called Sell on Social Media Academy, and I have 2 divisions. We focus very much on strategy. So as I said at the beginning, from the outset, it's not just about social media. It's about getting the best results in terms of sales, but spending as little time at it. Okay, so you get the best results in the shortest possible time frame. And in my company, I have 2 divisions. I have an agency where people can outsource their social media strategy and implementation. And I have an academy where I train businesses how to do it for themselves. And I also coach them every step of the way. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the academy at the end. So my why, so I delight in helping business owners succeed. I love answering questions. So I know Eileen is going to have all the questions at the end. So don't be afraid to ask questions. I love answering questions because it makes me a better trainer, because it makes me understand how people are thinking. It helps me get them better results. So here are my books. Facebook marketing I wrote in 2017. I published an annual social media planner and guide since 2021. And this is the new one. It was just launched last week on Amazon. I think I dropped a link in the chat earlier on for Eileen and Colleen. So if anybody wants to get a link to it, it is a wonderful tool. I have one myself. So the tool, it follows my 6 steps. It helps you get clear on your message. It helps you show up consistently. And there are 400 prompts in the planners for special days. So you'll always have a reason to show up on your social media and to be on brand. So I can't tell you what day today is, but I know the day that I launched my planner last week was Electronic Greetings Day. So we use the planner every single day in our agency. And not only that, with the planner, there comes $277 worth of free resources. So all the prompts that are in the planner come in electronic format in the form of a content planner. So it's a useful tool. As I said, we use it every single day. There's also some free training courses as well. So that is enough about me. So 5 ways that selling services is different. So, and this affects how we sell our services on social media. The first way that selling service is different is people. So people deliver the service. So if you are a solopreneur and you are the only person in your company, obviously delivering a service, well, then it's really important that people obviously get to know you through your social media, because they cannot separate the person from the service delivery. If you have more than one people on your team, well, then it's really important that people get to know your team. And why is that? Because people have to know, like, and trust you before they'll do business with you. Okay. So the first way that selling services is different is that when you're selling a product, you're selling the product. When you're selling the service, you cannot separate the service from the service delivery. So if people have a poor experience with service delivery, then they will have a poor experience with your company. Okay, so the second thing is trust. So we know that selling online is different because we have to get people to know, like, and trust us. And we can do that very effectively on social media. But so what I would say is, on social media, you are your best brand ambassador. Okay. So on social media, if you are showing up, if you are giving advice, if you're helping out your ideal customer, if you're doing that consistently, then you're going to build trust, you're going to build brand awareness. If you're not showing up consistently, if you're physically not showing up, okay, because I know lots of people don't like to put their face out there. I know, and oftentimes I can look down through social media channels of different organizations, and they can be quite generic, or they can be faceless. So what I would say to you in terms of building trust, the more that you can show your face, even if it's a photo, the more that people can hear your voice, the more you're going to build trust with them. The third way that selling services is different is that a service is intangible, so you cannot touch or feel it. And when the service when you finish delivering that service, it no longer exists. You cannot see it. And so in service marketing, what we aim to do is make the intangible tangible. And that is why we have things like social media planners, or we have free ebooks, or we have business cards, or we have something that we can send to somebody that they print off or we hand to them, and it reminds them of the service that we deliver, and it reminds them of the good experience they had when they had dealt with us at some stage. And so that's why that whole making the intangible tangible is a really important part of creating your strategy when it comes to social media marketing. The fourth way that selling services is different is that because the service is delivered by a person, we need to control the process. We need to create a process so we can standardize that process, so that every time that service is delivered, it is delivered to the same standard. You also need to think of the process in which you're going to find a new customer. And that's why when we're talking about marketing services, we talk about funnels, because that allows us to standardize the process. And the fifth way that selling services is different is that there's a different customer journey. If you're selling a product, so let's say you're selling this product, right? So you're essentially getting your product in front of your ideal customer, maybe through social media, maybe an organic post, maybe it's a paid post, maybe it's through an influencer, whatever way you're getting in front of them, and you're driving that person back to a website where they can buy that product. Okay, so it's a much more simplified process. When you're selling a service, it's a bit more complicated, and I've only put two examples on the screen here, but if you approach service marketing on social media the same way you approach product marketing, you can find you waste a lot of time and you don't get the results that you need. So generally, when you're selling a service, you're more creating funnels, and that funnel may include a lead magnet, like a free ebook or a free worksheet or a free cheat sheet, and maybe an email sequence to a discovery call, or potentially you may be doing live launches where you're driving people to a live webinar where you can do a launch, or maybe it's to an evergreen webinar. But the customer journey when you're selling a service is different, and anyone who's selling a service here, it's much more difficult. If you go on to Facebook or LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever you're into, and you just say, hey, I'm launching my new coaching program, sign up. That will not work. Absolutely, it just won't work. You need to have a different approach. So that's the 5 ways that selling services is different. Let's just remind me. So first of all is that we have to take into account that people deliver the services, and in order for us to find new customers, they must know, like, and trust us. And because services are intangible, we must work at creating the tangible product that they can link to the service as part of our marketing. And then we must think of standardizing the process and the customer journey. So lessons that I have learned through running campaigns in our agency. So we run campaigns in our agency. I have a team of people who work with me. I absolutely love it. Okay. I love running campaigns. I love being creative and coming up with ideas and doing things in a slightly different way. But the thing I absolutely love the most is the data. I just love sitting back and really tuning into why is something working, why is it not working? And that is what I love then teaching people, because guess what, as you all know, social media is always changing. Our environment is always changing. The world is always changing. The economy is always changing. So the strategy that you had and that you've put in place last year is not going to be the same strategy that's going to work this year. So what I have learned through working in our agency is, number one, whether you're selling a product or a service, there must be demand for that product or service. So if you have dreamt up a wonderful coaching product or program, but people don't want to do it, it doesn't matter how you market it or what you do with it, because if people don't want it, they're not going to buy it. I was working with a company last year, and they were into product sales, and they were selling a product which I just knew wasn't going to be in demand. And I kept going back to them, asking the core question: do people want to buy this product? Do people want this product at this price point? Are people prepared to sell it? Because no amount of marketing in the world is going to get over the fact if there's not demand for your product. So that's number one. It's so important that there must be demand for what you're selling. And actually, what's really interesting is that we are all experts in what we do. Absolutely. Everybody here is an expert in what they do. And remember, when we are selling to people who are not experts in what we do, that sometimes we can look at them, right? Anyway, this resonates with anyone. Sometimes you can look at them and you go, I know exactly what they need to fix them, right? But the person sometimes that you're talking to doesn't know they don't know what they need, what's going to fix them. They just know what's wrong with them. So we sell on the surface, okay? We solve problems much deeper down. But there has to be a demand for what we are selling. Excuse me. The second thing is that, in my experience, that people generally don't give themselves enough lead time in coming into a launch. So let's say you're launching a new coaching program, that somebody might come to me and say, I've got a launch next week, Louise. And I'm like, well, good luck with that, because I'm not going to be able to do anything about that at this stage. So if you're talking about launching a program, you need 2 or 3 months of a lead in. So if you have not been active on your social media at all, and you decide to show up today, it's going to take at least 2 or 3 months, if not longer, to build up some traction. If you have already been active on your social media, but you haven't gotten results, and all of a sudden you show up with a strategy, you'll get results a lot faster. That I see all the time. But generally, people don't appreciate that the lead time that is required in order to launch a service or launch a new product. Okay. Similarly, so let's say if this person, if you're selling products, the people who really started pushing the product sales at the end of August for Christmas will get the most sales. The people who rock up now and go, I need some help, or rock up the week before Black Friday, you're like, oh, it's too late. Okay. So you need to give yourself enough lead time. Third thing is, like, growing your email list must be absolutely top of your priority. Okay. Whether you're selling a product or a service, because the people on your email list are the warmest prospects. They're the people most likely to purchase from you, and they're most likely to purchase from you time and time again in the future. So if you don't have a strategy in place for growing your email list, absolutely, this is something that you need to address straight away. Because I would always say that an unopened email creates more brand awareness than a no email at all. Okay. So think of all the emails that arrive into your inbox that you won't unsubscribe, because I might buy that at some stage in the future. And then strategy never dates. Okay. So while all the social media channels are continually changing and the algorithms are continually changing, doing the basics well in the form of a strategy will always get you results, and that will never date. So a reason that I'm so passionate about social media marketing is that I really understand the potential of it, and I can see when businesses get results, and I can see the impact that has on their businesses. When I started off in marketing back in the 1990s, there was no such thing as social media. And in fact, I worked in this EDI factory, which was one of the earliest e-commerce companies, and I was in Dublin city centre, and we had like one computer, which was dial-up. That's how high tech it was, right? So back then, if you wanted to market your products or your services, you were looking at newspaper advertising, whether that be national or local, and that's expensive. Or you were looking at radio advertising, national or local, again, very expensive. Or you were looking to work with, maybe other organizations that you could partner with. And again, that could be very expensive. Or else you were doing direct marketing. Okay. So why I love social media is that, all of a sudden here we have an opportunity for every business to get involved. So you don't have to have a huge budget. You don't have to have any budget to get started. And so why is social media so important? Because 60% of the world's population use it. And on average, the average usage is over 2 hours. Okay, daily usage is over 2 hours. So here we have an opportunity to reach our customers and potential customers on social media that 20 years ago, it just didn't exist. And if you're clever about how you approach it, you really can get some really good results. And I would say to people that it's not about reaching, it's not about going viral. Okay, I'm nearly allergic to hearing stories about people that have gone viral on social media, because it's not about the millions that you reach once. It's the hundreds or the few hundreds or the thousands that you reach regularly. That's important. So I want to tell you a story about 3 businesses. Okay. The first business was head in the sand, hated social media, ignoring. The second business was really busy on social media, turning up, creating content, but not getting results. And the third business then just was skipping through to running paid promotions and wasn't getting any results. So each one of these businesses I worked with, I showed them the 6-step system that I'm about to share with you, and I'll show you the results they had. So the first company were ignoring social media. So they were the chalet. So this chalet, again, selling services, but they were selling high-end beauty and aesthetic treatments. Okay. And these are their own words. They had a scattergun approach to social media and email marketing. And when they came to us, it was actually around, I think it must have been maybe November last year. And they were having these launches, and they were having these launches in store, and they were really finding it hard to fill them out and really hard to getting people to turn up. So we started working with them. We created a strategy for them. And these are the most important words. They started showing up consistently, but on message and with the very specific goals of what they wanted to achieve. And just by showing up consistently and being there week in, week out with the content which is going to help them achieve their goals, this is the results they got. So their laser skin and brow treatments, bookings up 116% or 1,212% or 314% on attendance. The facials up 35%, retail up 153%, and rebook rate 44%. So that is the impact that you can have from not showing up at all and then starting to show up consistently. And I don't mean I mean 3 or 4 posts a week consistently and a story every day. Then we had Lisa. This is one of my favorite stories. And she was actually really active on social media. And she came to us actually during the summer, and she said, I'm really busy. I just can't seem to get it to work for me. I just can't seem to get any business from it. I seem to have people there, but they're just not doing business with us. So what I had said to Lisa was that I felt that she needed to do a live launch. And I felt that because she had been active on social media, that the live launch would help her actually, have an event where people would come to and they would have this opportunity to sign up and do business with them. So we actually did a live launch with her now. Lisa was so funny. She's such a sweetheart. She's such a lovely woman. So they sell websites and apps and stuff. So it's a hard enough sell on social media. And she would tell you herself in her own words, I didn't write it down. I'll say she says, I was a webinar virgin. And she said that, and I didn't realize this. So I helped her. What we did is we helped her with the content. We helped her with the paid ads. We helped her put the webinar, the presentation together. I sat down with her on the Sunday because she was launching it on the Monday. Sat down with her on the Sunday, and I didn't realize, and she didn't tell me till afterwards, that she was in tears. She was so worried about it. But then I sat down, put my arms around her, helped it all the way through. And they had an amazing launch. They made over 5 figures within, on the first launch, and they've since had another launch. And as they said, their business, the pipe through is just absolutely chock-a-block. So they had an amazing result from following the 6 steps. And then we had Lindsay. She's a romance author, and she felt that she was running Facebook ads and just wasting her money, and felt that she was so frustrated. Again, she followed the 6 steps, and again, she was able to transform her results straight away. She had a bestseller, and then she was able to translate that bestseller into 7 separate Kindle bestsellers. So again, following the 6-step system. So before I go any further, what I want to ask people here today, if you wouldn't mind popping in the chat, do you feel that you're more A, ignoring social media, B, busy on social media but not getting results, or C, that you're running paid promotion, skipping to the paid promotions and feeling that you're not getting results? So who's here? Busy. So the number, is that B? B, is that B, Niall? B, yes, A or B. Okay, A or B. Siobhan, you're kind of stop start. Yeah, that's okay. I get that as well. So we have B's. We all B, C today, in between A and B. Okay. Okay, A and B, B and C. Okay, that's fine. That's totally normal as well, B and C. So A, new in a coaching business, A. Okay, fantastic. So generally what I find when I run this survey, and usually I have a survey so I can see the percentages, generally more than 50% of people that show up when I'm doing a live presentation or on a Zoom, generally 50% of people find themselves in the B or BC or AB. Okay, so it's quite normal if you feel that you're on social media, you're not getting results. So I'm going to share with you the 6 steps that is in my 6-step system. And so depending on where you've answered, you can see where maybe you need to pay attention. So let me just move this along. Okay, very good. So my 6-step system, the first stage of that is planning. I'm going to take you through these 6 steps right now. So if you have found it hard, you've been ignoring social media and that you, or maybe scattergun approach, stop start, this is where you need to start, is with the planning. So, and if let's say that you have been just busy on social media, but not getting any results, it could be that you've skipped all the way from step 1, steps 2, and step 3, and you just jumped in at step 4, which is the content. So if you've been just hopping on social media and producing content, but not using step 1, step 2, step 3, that could be why you're busy on social media, but not getting results. If you have jumped to step 5, or you've been doing a combination of content and the ads, but you've skipped to step 1 and step 2 and step 3, again, that could be the reason that you're not getting results. And if you're not doing step 6, you're not looking at what's working and what's not working, you're not looking at the data to inform what you do next, that could also be a reason that you find the 6 steps, or that your social media isn't working for you. Okay, so AI, of course, has entered the frame now. And so what we find is that AI can help us at every single stage of the 6-step system, which I'm going to talk you through now. Step 1 is all about understanding your why. Now, this is extremely important if you're selling a service, if you're a coach, or if you're a consultant, if you're an online expert entrepreneur, or even if you're selling a craft product where you are very much part of that product creation process. Okay, so understanding your why, not what you sell or not what you do, but why you do it, why it makes a difference, and why somebody should pay attention to you. So we go through a process of helping people understand what their why is. Step 1 also involves putting your goals in place, because the goals are what dictate your content. The goals are what dictate the ads you run. The goals are what dictate everything you do, because if you have set your smart goals, it means that you have determined what the end point is. So a goal which is smart is specific, measurable, it's got numbers in it, achievable, it's realistic, and it's got a time frame associated with it. So before we do anything in terms of our content, in terms of our ads, in terms of our lead magnets, in terms of our promotions in general, we set our goals. Now, so if we know that by achieving our goals, we should be able to determine what that's worth financially to us. So let's say we are launching a coaching program. Let's say let me just do this because I'm going to do easy maths now because I'm under pressure. But let's say the coaching program is €2,000 or $2,000. And let's say you recruit 10 people onto it. Well, that's $20,000. So you know that if you achieve your campaign objective, that you are going to generate $20,000. Now it makes it easier to allocate budget. in your campaign to help you achieve that goal. So that's step one, that's the planning. Step two then is profiling your ideal customers. So again, my experience is that businesses don't do this deep enough. So oftentimes they're guessing it, or oftentimes they're just profiling on the surface and they really don't drill down to what the pain points are. What is motivating people? What does their life look like? What and how can you help make their lives better? So step two is profiling your customers. So if you haven't done step one and step two, you can see that how your social media content is not, if it's not aligned with your goals, if you're not tuned into really, the pain points or what's really motivating your customer, you might find that maybe you're marketing a little bit on the surface. Step three then is optimizing your websites, your landing pages, your social media channels, and your social media content. So you have to be very clear on what your message is, and then you need to use that. Take your messages, optimize your websites, landing pages, and your social media channels. So before you produce any content or ads, you have to have those first three steps done. Because if there's any room for confusion, people go away. And this is how they go away on social media. They scroll. And if your content just happens to come up in their newsfeed, you don't get their attention, they don't stop, they don't look, they don't read, they just zoom on, they'll go away. Not only that, if you do get their attention, but they're not too sure what it is you can do for them or what it is you're talking about, if too many ideas in the one social media post, if you're not repeating the same message over and over again, they go away. So unfortunately, that's what happens. Step four is social media content. So if you've been skipping step ones, two, and three, you can see how maybe then just turning up on social media and producing content without having a plan, without profiling your customers, and without being clear on your message, you can see the impact that will have. In step four, why we plan content. We plan content in advance because it saves time. And that's what we're about. We're all about how you can get the best possible results in the least amount of time. So you're more likely to produce better quality and more strategic content when you plan in advance. It's again more efficient, and it means that you show up more consistently. And we know what works. What works is showing up consistently, because people rarely take an action after having seen one post. Back in the 1930s in Hollywood, they realized that people needed to hear or see about a movie 7 times before they could get them into movie theaters. Now, this is the rule of 7. So can you imagine how many times people have to see our messages nowadays on social media when they're zooming by on speed for them to take an action? So when I say 7 times, I mean probably 9, 18, I'd say even more than that. So people need to hear from us very many times before they'll take an action. And remember, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So when I mean content, I mean social media organic content, I mean email marketing, I mean website blogs or articles, I mean lead magnets, I mean webinars, podcasts, goes on. And so here AI can have a huge impact because it can save time. So for example, if you're a podcast host now, you can download the transcript. You can ask AI to give you a summary for a blog on your website. You can ask AI to give you a summary, to create a LinkedIn post, or to create a LinkedIn poll around it, or to create social media content for Instagram or Facebook, or to give you ideas of how you can create a reel or a TikTok. So what we can do is we can be really efficient with our content. We can use AI to help us and to save us time, because we can produce lots more content, in a shorter space of time. Now, of course, when it comes to AI, I would never use what AI gives me, but I find that if I adapt what they give me, it is such a useful resource to have. So it helps you get better results, but again, it needs to be authentic to you, authentic to your brand, or else it's not going to have any impact. So when it comes to social media, sometimes we are connecting. So sometimes in our content pillars, we're just creating awareness content where we're not selling, we're not giving advice. We're just simply saying, here I am, I'm on the train. I actually got hit by a car at the weekend. That's what this post is. I was actually run over by a car. And the post obviously had a huge reach on social media. But sometimes that post can remind somebody, oh, I meant to book a call with Louise. Oh, I meant to buy her planner. That is the impact that it can have. Sometimes we're building authority, and that's where we are producing content where we give advice to our ideal customer. So that can be in the form of a single image, it can be in the form of a carousel, it can be in the form of video, it can be in the form of a reel, it can be in the form of a podcast. But so what we're doing, we're building authority through our social media. And they are the posts which, frankly, they may not be as popular as these posts, but they're the posts that are going to bring you business in the long term. Okay. So sometimes we're building authority. Sometimes we are selling. So we may have a lead magnet or a webinar or some things where we want people to actually take an action and get them to sign up to something. And then sometimes we're just impressing either through case studies or through testimonials, or maybe if we're featured on, on a major podcast or something like that, we will use that in our social media to impress our audience. So that is our social media content. Now, here is the thing. Paid ads is very much part of the strategy going forward, because you cannot depend on organic reach. Now, I always say there's 3 benefits from running paid ads. First of all, there's the direct benefits or leads, the direct sales or leads from running the ad. So you run an ad for a webinar to get people to sign up for the webinar, and you get the people who sign up, come to the webinar and buy your product. Then you get the indirect sales or leads. So somebody sees the ad for the webinar and all of a sudden they're ringing you and they say, I don't want that webinar, but I want you to create a training program for our company. So that's the indirect sales or leads. You always get that. And then the future sales or the leads are the people who started following you. They're not ready to come yet. They're not ready to sign up yet, but they go, I think I'm going to need that sometime soon. I'm going to follow them and see, do I like them? And then maybe I'll go to the next webinar. So anytime that you want a paid promotion, this tends to be the impact. Now, organic reach, as we know, organic is our non-paid for reach. So anyone who's ever spent any time in Ireland will know that organic reach is about as dependable as the Irish weather. And let me tell you why. So this post where I said that I was on the train and I'd got an unexpected hospital visit, I was hit by a car, blah, blah, blah. It reached 3,500 people on Facebook, 1,200 people on Instagram, and 6,500 people on LinkedIn. Okay. Then when I'm putting up a post about a webinar that I'm running, look at the reach, 251 on Facebook, 162 on Instagram, and 240 on LinkedIn. So organic, and why is that? Because people aren't as interested probably in the webinar. They're not going to interact with it as more, and the algorithm just doesn't show it to enough people. But this is where paid ads comes in. So again, here's my paid, my organic reach on, I think this is on Facebook, was 251. But then I can run a paid promotion across Facebook and Instagram and spend a few $100s on this paid promotion, and I can reach 30,000 people, and I can fill my webinar, and I can generate business on the back of it. So that is why you can't depend on organic reach any longer, because you just simply won't reach enough people with the posts that you need them to see in order to get results. Yes, if I put up a photograph of my doggy, my lovely little cute Bichon Frise, I'll get loads of reach, but unfortunately, she's not selling anything for me. So social media is no longer free, okay? And then step 6 of my 6-step system is reviewing what you're doing at every stage. Is my strategy working? Are my social media posts working? Are my ads working? Is my lead magnet working? Are people going through my funnel? Are they taking the steps I want them to take? Where are they beginning to fall off? Are people going to my website? How many pages are they visiting? When are they listening? Is my email list growing? Are my emails effective? And then what you do is you tweak and tweak and tweak as necessary. And you use this not even to inform future tactics, but you can actually use it to inform campaigns as they're running. So you can optimize them to get the best return on your investment. So that is my 6-step system. In order to get results, you need to start with the planning. You need to profile your ideal customers. You need to optimize your social media, landing pages, websites, whatever it is. You need to create content consistently, okay? Use AI to make sure that you created content, but not only that, you're repurposing it and you're getting as much out of that same piece of content without going out to create new content every time. You use paid ads to augment your organic reach, and then you review what's working working and inform future campaigns. So the key takeaways from today is that social media is a powerful tool which businesses can use to harness business growth, and that selling services is different and more difficult, and paid ads are essential to drive growth. So before we take questions, I know Eileen is getting ready to come back on screen again. I'm just going to say I have an offer here for the Irish Business Organization here today. And if you're ready to really take an action for your business in 2024, I have a group coaching program which is starting in early January, and I also have my agency services. If you'd like to book a discovery call with me today, and if we end up working together, I'm going to give you a free strategy call worth just under $2,000. So again, all you need to do to be able to be with the chance to get that call is to book the call with me today. We can have a discovery call, and if we end up working together, you'll benefit from that free strategy call next year worth $1,195. So I think that is it. We are done. So I'm not sure how we are on time, but again,
yeah, we have a few minutes.
Great.
We have a few minutes. We did not get any questions through the chat, which is remarkable. This is a usually very vocal, very verbal group. But Louise, I'll give you a question that I know I'm challenged with, and fellow entrepreneurs in the services space struggle with, particularly solopreneurs, which is there are so many platforms. There are so many different channels, and the challenge is not only the maintenance and the engagement, but also the tracking, right? So those of us that use platforms like HubSpot, it's wonderful, but how do we extend that kind of intelligent tracking and funnel management on social media platforms? And if you found a way and you're not selling it, you're missing a huge opportunity.
I think, first of all, I suppose it's really important just to kind of break down your question somewhat.
Yeah.
So I think what's really important is sometimes people are really active on all social media channels, okay? And it keeps them really, really busy. And I know if you're a small solopreneur, time is obviously, in short supply. So I would say it's really important to focus on where you're going to get the best results. So it's not the social media channels that we tend to like ourselves that we should be hanging out on. It's the social media channels that are going to get us the best results. So that's number one. So to prioritize if you're short on time. Secondly, I would say it's really important if you're running, let's say, ads for lead magnets. Okay, let's say you're running a lead magnet, you're getting people into your funnel. So a really simple way sometimes to get to track the results on that is to drive people from different channels to different, lead magnets. It might be the same lead magnet, but it's just you're able to track it much more effectively. I do that now, and I have like one for organic and one for paid, because even though we would have the tracking, the pixels and all that in place to track the results, sometimes they're not 100% accurate. And sometimes then when people are opting out of, the cookies, they don't want to be tracked, that it's harder to track them. So I would be tracking them that way so that you can sit down and you can analyze the results. If you're working on a particular campaign, let's say you were having a launch, Eileen, at the end of that campaign, that is the time to sit down and do an analysis of where do the leads come, where do they come in through, who showed up and who purchased, so that we have a really clear understanding of, where the best leads are coming from and where we're going to get our business. The other thing I would say as well is that you have to be practical as well, and repurpose your content as much as you can, so that you're not having to create new content all the time. So sometimes you will find that the same content will work perfectly well on, let's say, Facebook as it will on LinkedIn, or that you can then tweak it and you can create a reel or a TikTok from it using the same point. So, and again, sometimes you can get, a VA who will work really well if you're giving them the content that you can show them to repurpose it. So yeah, I think, again, I think the whole idea of having a plan and having a campaign and working to it, and then knowing at the end of it what you got, what the return was. And then you can decide, was it worth it, or where do I ramp it up?
Oh, this is great. Great. Thank you. Paul Finnegan asked, and I'm not going to ask you to answer this because we do not have enough time, even if we were online for the rest of the afternoon. Paul wants to know the future of Twitter X. So Paul, that could be a whole other session that I don't think we have time in the 3 minutes we have left, but it's a fascinating conversation. And I'm quite enjoying the crash and burn that we're witnessing in real time. There was a question from Siobhan Murphy, but the question is not clear. It's more, she's considering a total rebrand and new social account. So I'm going to infer that the question, Siobhan, is that a sound strategy, or what's the most elegant way to do that without abandoning your existing users?
Well said. Thank you.
I would say if it's a case that you're just rebranding, but you're going to be targeting the same people who are already hanging out in your social channels, well, then I would just rebrand those existing social channels, and I would take those forward with me, assuming that there's no problem with rebranding them. So things to look out for there are to make sure that you have ownership of those. So it's quite common for businesses, for some reason or other, not to have full ownership of, let's say, maybe their Facebook ad account page, or to have lost access to an Instagram account, in which case that's something you need to try and recover, first of all, if you're going to rebrand. But yeah, to me, if they're the same audience, but you're just rebranding, you can absolutely hold on to those channels. I've rebranded myself at least 2 or 3 times over the last number of years. So I think it's a quite a healthy thing to do. You know, your business is always changing and pivoting, but as long as your audience are the same audience, I would stick with it.
That's great. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. As we mentioned, this presentation, as soon as we have a chance to edit it and post it, will be available on the IBO member website. If you have any other questions for Louise, please get in touch with her at the URL that is currently on the screen. And we hope you all have a wonderful holiday, and we will see you in January with our next entrepreneur session.